we stand, we are here together right now. The people united will never be defeated. 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 Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Woo! Hello, I'm Outsider. My name is Christian Silva. I'm part of the Princeton Theological Seminary. Over almost 150 years ago, the seminary and the university split over ideological differences. Shame! But now, we are united for a project of liberation. We are here for the Palestinian people. My participation in the peaceful sit-in with those who are here at the university is because I understand that there is a solidarity movement that is not divided by religious lines or ethnic lines, but simply for the need for liberation, for the lives of people to continue to flourish, in contra those who want to bring oppression based on ethno-racism and ethno-nationalism constructed by the European colonization movement that began even before the state was established. Eisgruber had the audacity to flagrantly lie about what happened, lie about what is going on here. Shame! He is trying to paint this idea of outside transgressors and aggressors. Shame! This is a movement of peace, love, and justice. And though I have come here to be with y'all, the Princeton Theological Seminary also must disclose, and we know that they must divest. And they like to make statements about not making statements when we have all seen videos of fathers carrying their children in their arms, dismembered. We have seen the dead children in Palestine. We have seen those in Gaza. We are going to see more in Rafah. We are going to see it. Shame! Then my hope is this, that we would continue to cross religious and ethnic and historical lines for liberation, that this university and the seminary would continue to work together in a movement for liberation for both, for liberation from both of involvement and shame! This is for the Palestinian people. And I hope that we would continue this project of liberation and fighting. And you know what? If more of y'all end up on this side, there's a home that you have with us. And there's a home on this side, and gates do not determine that. So, the people united will never be defeated. 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 The people
But they are not alone. We are not alone. We have community members here. Alumni are here. Resistencia is here. Seminarians are here. Staff is here. Faculty is here. So for our first speech here at Nassau Hall, please welcome Professor Mitch McEwen from the Department of Architecture.
Hello, everybody. So, thank you. My name is Mitch McEwen. Here, I'm an assistant professor, but at the People's University of Gaza, I'm actually a student. So, thank you for inviting me to share some words, and thank you for teaching me. I'm going to talk just a little bit about architecture, and then I'm going to just share more about the faculty supporting what the students are doing and the students' leadership. What I just want to say as a, yeah, okay. Is it okay? I mean, one thing I should say is that I am here as a designer. I don't have a PhD. I am here thinking about the future and teaching students to design, okay, for the future that we want. Okay. And as an architect, looking at the destruction, the genocide, it's clear that it's not a war, it's a genocide, and it's an attempt to make a site. It's an attempt to make a gruesome, gruesome future to displace the Palestinian people. And it's been clear since October. And as that has been clear amongst many architects, it hasn't been clear what do we do with that. And you students, why I am so honored to be with you and to learn from you at the People's University of Gaza is because you make it clear what we do with this knowledge. And what we do with this knowledge is we stop business as usual, we put all eyes on Gaza, and we demand disclosure and divestment in a free Palestine. Okay. And I want to talk about something that I've learned in the People's University of Gaza. You know, when we say we keep us safe, when we say that here at Princeton, it means more than bodily safety, you know? It's a way of thinking about the motto of this university. And I think it's important to remember that the motto is fairly new, right? And that the university has some learning to do about this motto, right? So, the motto, which was updated just a year before I got here, is in the nation's service and the service of humanity. And one thing that it's important to recognize, that the students are teaching me to recognize, is those two services might sometimes be in conflict with each other. And right now, we are in that conflict. This country specifically is in that conflict. We're in the service of this nation does not mean in the service of humanity. And so in that context, we keep us safe means also we keep us moral. It means also we keep us legitimate. Not the history of this building. We keep us legitimate. And in that work that we do together, that the students lead, or I am a student at the People's University of Gaza, where this, actually, the administrators also could be students, right? In that motto of what it means to be in service to humanity now, this moment, today, debate this week now, right? This is the moment to listen to the students and hear the demands, because all eyes on Gaza, all eyes on Rafah. This is the moment for a ceasefire. And just to mention briefly that terrible email, one thing, when the administration talks about bridges and building bridges, as an architect, you have to be very specific where you build a bridge. We do not need a bridge to genocide. What we need and what the students are leading is a bridge to the future. The future where we are in service to humanity. And where we divest. And disclose. And a future of free Palestine.
Hands off Gaza! Hands off Rafah! Free Palestine! It's so amazing to be here with all of you today. You know, in President Eisgruber's shameful email this morning, he said there wasn't a consensus on this issue. This looks a lot like consensus to me. But saying that there isn't a consensus on this issue is just one of Eisgruber's many lies that he's been doing in the past few days. One of those lies is that it's the protesters or us who is somehow making this campus unsafe. Meanwhile, I've been starving for 5 days and I can't sit on some fucking stairs. So who's actually keeping us unsafe? Who's making us unhealthy? Who's making us feel like we don't belong on this campus? It's not us, it's those guys.
Eisgruber said in his email is that this situation can somehow wait for long, drawn-out processes. I frankly do not understand how anyone can look at what is happening and not think this is the most urgent thing right now. How can you look at what is about to happen in Rafah and think that there is time for long, drawn-out processes? How can you look at your own students starving on your front lawn and think that there is time for long, drawn-out processes? How can you know that your students are starving themselves in solidarity with the Palestinian people who have been starving for much longer in much worse conditions? How can you look at that and not think this is the most urgent situation on the planet? But what we know is that this university does not actually care about morality. It does not respond to humanitarian appeals. What they care about fundamentally is simply their image and their bottom line. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make their image the worst image on this planet. We need all of you telling everyone what is happening here at Princeton. We need you telling everyone that the university is cracking down on free speech. We need you telling everyone that the university is letting its students starve. We need you telling everyone that this university is complicit with genocide and doesn't seem to care. Everywhere you go, you need to be shaming Christopher Eisgruber. You need to be shaming VP Calhoun. You need to be shaming every single member of this administration. You need to be shaming Be Safe. So that is all to say that we know that this university will not keep us safe. Because who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Whose campus?
Our campus.
Whose campus?
Our campus.
Eisgruber, you can't hide.
Eisgruber, you can't hide.
You're supporting genocide.
You're supporting genocide.
Eisgruber, you can't hide.
Eisgruber, you can't hide.
You're supporting genocide.
You're supporting genocide.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
From the sea to the river.
From the sea to the river.
Palestine will live forever.
Palestine will live forever.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine.
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free.
From the sea to the river!
From the sea to the river.
Palestine will live forever!
Palestine will live forever.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am one of the several protesters that have been engaging in a peaceful hunger strike since last Friday. It has been almost 105 hours since our hunger strike has begun. It has been almost 105 hours since we've had any sort of food. I'm gonna give a really short speech, which I hope will tug at some of your guys' heartstrings, but please hear me out here. So yes, it has been almost 105 hours since we began our hunger strike, but today is also my birthday. siblings in Gaza that are being forcibly starved by the Israeli regime. I would like to note that today marks exactly 7 months since the genocidal campaign against Gazans have begun. Yesterday, the Met Gala took place, and the Israeli regime utilized that event to distract from the fact that they were enhancing the indiscriminate bombing campaign that is currently going on in Rafah. The Israeli regime will consistently use these Western main events to cover the fact that they are escalating their violence, their unjust violence against innocent Gazans in Palestine. They have done this with the Met Gala, and they have done this with the Oscars, and they have done this with the Super Bowl. For 7 months, our siblings in Gaza have been forcibly starved, displaced, and carpet bombed. For 7 months, no Gazan has been able to spend their own birthday in peace and safety. I remember on November 3rd of 2023, a mother in Gaza named Doa posted on Twitter about being able to finally celebrate her very young daughter's birthday by bringing her a small cupcake and a candle. This cupcake didn't even have frosting on it, but her daughter was so happy to receive some form of dessert to celebrate her birthday, albeit them being forcibly starved and airstriked consistently in their area. And it's extremely tragic because the following day, this mother and her daughter were airstriked and martyred. I want you guys to understand the depravity of how a small girl was martyred the day after her birthday. I remember on January 9th of 2024 seeing a young Gazan girl celebrate her birthday in a hospital bed because she was injured due to Israeli terrorism. I want you guys to imagine the sheer depravity of having to celebrate your birthday because you were terrorized by a terrorist regime. I remember seeing a list of all the Gazans that have been martyred since this genocidal campaign have begun. Thousands of infants who had not even made it to their first birthday were on this list. Thousands of babies who had not even made it to their second birthday were on this list. Thousands of Gazans who didn't even make it to their third, their fourth, their fifth, their sixth birthdays were on this list, and it is terrifying how our university says this is okay. This is not okay. Literal babies, literal innocent women, innocent men, innocent elderly, innocent immunocompromised individuals, innocent innocent disabled individuals have been martyred since this campaign has started, and this is not okay. This is not okay. My fellow hunger strikers and I will not stand for our university's complicitness in this genocide. It is absolutely not okay that even one Gazan has been murdered in this genocidal campaign. It is not fair in any regard that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Gazans have not been able to celebrate their birthdays as they deserve to in 7 months of sheer horror. I want you guys to imagine the sheer depravity of being afraid, of being bombed, being displaced, and just not knowing what is happening to your families and other loved ones on your damn birthday. Every Gazan deserves to be able to indulge in as much birthday cake as they want on their damn birthdays. Yet, the horrifying reality is that hundreds of thousands of Gazans spend their birthdays in fear for their lives, not knowing when they will be able to eat their next meal or if their friends and families are alive, and having their homes destroyed. This is absolutely unfair. My peers and I, we are starving. We are physically exhausted. I am quite literally shaking right now, as you can see. We are both cold and hot at the same time. We are all immunocompromised. And based on the university's meeting yesterday with some of our bargaining team, they would love to continue physically weakening us because they can't stand to say no to unjust murder. I will say I truly do not feel like I am doing anything special. This is my choice, and I would not spend my birthday doing anything other than being here and standing in solidarity with you all and standing in solidarity with our siblings and innocent people in Gaza. No matter how physically weak we may be, united we have never been stronger. Our resolve has never been stronger. Elnor behind you. If someone next to you needs a bottle of water, keep your hand up, and a bottle of water will find you. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Eisgruber, you can't hide. You're supporting genocide. Eisgruber, you will learn. Refugees will return. Eisgruber, you will see. Palestine will be free.
gaps if you see any gaps.
We're feeling lonely up here. There's like 6 feet between all of us. Come on.
Love you.
Woo! Yesterday morning, a representative group of students, hardworking students, and unlucky students, had to speak with Christopher Eisgruber. Let's hear about their experience talking to that guy. Please welcome our next speakers. Woo!
Yesterday, I attended a meeting with President Eisgruber to discuss our demands for financial and military divestment from the apartheid state of Israel. We talked about Princeton's ethical obligation to divest from a colonizing body committing genocide, and he heard directly from one of our Palestinian student comrades about her experience growing up in the West Bank. She talked about her village being attacked, with homes and cars being burned by Israel and living under the constant presence of fear. Despite hearing about this lived experience, Eisgruber stated that he, quote, hears from many different students and faculty members who have a different set of views. He said, quote, a good faith dialogue has to include your experience and your views, but it also has to include the experience and views of people who have a very different perspective on this subject and views diametrically opposed to the positions we have all taken. He said there is no consensus on the use of the word apartheid to describe Israel, or the word genocide to describe the atrocities Israel is currently committing in Gaza. And here I'd like to remind President Eisgruber that of course there is never consensus where genocide is concerned. The different opinions and lack of consensus is actually the entire point, and that actually confirms this is a genocide, because there is always a perpetrator of genocide who devalues the lives of those killed to such a degree that their deaths are not even considered a loss. That Native Americans on this continent know very well. I stand here as an enrolled member of the Picayune Rancheria of Chukchansi Indians of California. My own people experienced a genocide in the 19th century because Americans did not think of us as humans. We were called animals. We were described as described as, quote, an ugly and brutish race, and being, quote, so low in the scale of being that it puzzles the observer to conceive of a condition more nearly illustrating the absolutely primitive state of mankind.
Shame!
This rhetoric engineered a genocide of my people and all Native Americans in California. Our population was 150,000 at the time of American settler contact in 1848. By 1860, just 12 years later, our population dropped to just 30,000.
Shame!
America perpetrated these atrocities and, of course, would not say they were committing a genocide because they did not believe us to be fully human. Their treatment of us was akin to hunting animals for sport. White American settlers received bounties from 25 cents to $5 for our heads, our scalps, our bodies.
Shame!
The atrocity of genocide is only possible when people like Eisgruber do not consider the genocided population to be human. By debating By debating what does or does not constitute genocide, President Eisgruber revealed that he does not view his Palestinian students as fully human, as worthy of his respect, his compassion, and his support. As Dakota writer Elizabeth Cookland once said, genocide, that systematic killing of a people, is always denied by powerful, tyrannizing, colonizing nations. And when they have talked of it, they have struggled to declare their innocence through careful defining of the word. Yesterday, Eisgruber denied acknowledging a genocide is occurring in Palestine. He refused to all of us sitting before him in this meeting to make a statement in support of his Palestinian students on this campus. I told him that he makes a statement every single day by remaining silent. This statement is one of racial and religious discrimination and white supremacy. I don't know about you all, but I don't think the university's president, a person that is supposed to support and care for all students, should be someone who thinks that it is completely fine that Israel is currently bombing Rafah. I don't think the university's president should be someone who can listen to a Palestinian student share her story of harm and fear of violence at the hands of Israel, and after hearing it, show absolutely no compassion. Not a single word of care, support, or concern was offered by President Eisgruber in this meeting. How dare you, President Eisgruber, deny the harms your students are facing here, the harms their families and communities are facing in Palestine? How dare you deny a genocide that is occurring, that we are all watching in real time, especially as you work for a university that sits on stolen Lenape land? This is what is so absurd to me as a Native American student on this campus. We are on unceded, stolen Lenape land. This is not a metaphor. This is not an abstraction. All this land, from New Jersey to New York to eastern Pennsylvania, is Lenape land, a population that experienced their own genocide perpetrated by American settlers.
Shame!
The only reason that America and universities like Princeton even have the resources and the money they have is because they have stolen everything here.
Shame!
They stole everything through ethnic cleansing campaigns on this continent, and now they continue that process in Palestine through sickening, ongoing, American-backed settler colonialism. Every single year, I have to pay taxes on my tribal income we make through our sovereign companies on our sovereign land to the federal government so they can then turn around and fund another genocide. Israel could not do what it's doing now without American support, without the funds and resources attained by stealing land. And Eisgruber looks at all of us and declared that genocide is something contested by people with different opinions.
Shame!
The precondition of genocide is that not everyone thinks of it as a genocide. So even if he refuses that word and that reality, what he can't refuse is that internal to genocide is its deniability. It is denied by colonists, tyrants, and white supremacists, all of which describe our university's president, who sits comfortably comfortably in his office right here while his students feel unsafe, uncomfortable, ignored, and are starving. I would like to take this opportunity to give President Eisgruber some scholarly advice. He should take an Indigenous Studies class to learn about genocide and to realize so he can realize that by not condemning genocide outright and instead supporting these different perspectives about it, he reveals to us openly that he is a white supremacist.
Yeah! Yay!
My last words to him as he walked out of that room yesterday were that this will be his legacy, that he stood by and supported a genocide. This will be what he is remembered for. So let us not let him forget that.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! No, divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this close! Mic check. Mic check. I remember when we weren't allowed to use these bullhorns. We made this possible. I was also in that meeting with our dear racist colonizer, President Ice Gruber. We offered a detailed presentation of our demands for the disclosure of Princeton's divestments, the divestment from Israeli institutions and American military funding and recruitment, the academic and cultural boycott of institutions complicit in Israel's apartheid and genocidal campaign, the cultivation of partnerships with Palestinian institutions, and creation of a Center for Palestinian Studies with scholarships for displaced Gazans. And of course, amnesty for our friends that we heard from earlier. When we spoke with him on the issue of disclosure, he noted that it was impossible without a long process, kicking our demands down the road. When we discussed amnesty for our friends, he turned to the same bureaucracy that upholds this university's genocidal structures. When we discussed a boycott of Israeli apartheid and genocide, he claimed a desire to build bridges, not walls. So we want to discuss these options, but we are also clear about the facts on which we base our movement. Princeton University's endowment has been directly invested in Israel, who has been building apartheid walls and checkpoints and limits to access and limits to movement for Palestinians. No matter what words Ice Gruber would use to describe the situation, the state of Israel, it is clear in architectural terms that Israel has relied on the spatial tactics of settler colonialism, apartheid, and incarceration. Shame. This was the situation in Gaza well before October, based on a consensus of historical scholarship and first-hand accounts Gaza had been called by the director of Human Rights Watch as an open-air prison. Now those people have been pushed into Rafah, which Israel is on the brink of invading, which is bombing, to continue their horrific ethnic cleansing campaign. These are historical and current facts. Facts that Eisgruber contends based on the opinions of his friends who work directly with the American military. But let's put that aside for now and return to the facts on our campus here. In the last week, Morrison Hall, where African American studies, Indigenous studies, Asian American studies, Latino studies, and American studies reside, it has been locked down, disabling student access. Eisgruber has utterly disregarded the well-being of those Muslim students and students of color on hunger strike, failing to even mention them in his email to campus. Shame. And while we accept the feelings of those staff members in Clio Hall, we acknowledge the simple fact that it was our students' physical safety that was jeopardized by the police on our campus. Now, Eisgruber has clearly regarded Palestinian and Muslim students, not to mention other students of color on this campus, in his silences and his actions as second-class citizens. This is the same deployment of the carceral system and tactics that was characteristic of Gaza before its decimation. Eisgruber has done nothing for our communities, and we know that history will not be on his side. Now, this comes as no surprise. Princeton's legacy is genocide. It is already soaked with blood. It is built on stolen land, on the backs of the enslaved, and now it is built on the rubble of Gaza. Shame. It has been made abundantly clear that Princeton, along with several of our peer universities, is a playground for some and a prison for others. And Christopher Ludwig Eisgruber has proven himself to be a fantastic prison warden. Now, a moment. I saw a recent Instagram post of kids displaced from their homes in Gaza holding signs that read, "Thank you to the students of Princeton University." It is certainly no thank you to Warden Eisgruber. His legacy will be genocide. His legacy will be colonization. His legacy will be white supremacy. But when I see you all out here, outside Nassau Hall, I see students, I see community. Today, we decide what our legacy will be, what the students' legacy will be. Today, we are on the side of justice. The students united will never be defeated. 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 All right. Let me finish.
Never be defeated.
Thank you. To the kid in that post that I saw, our struggles are intertwined. We will continue to struggle for our safety, our wellness, and our futures because your future is our future. We must continue to struggle for our demands, along with the demands for disclosure, divestment, and boycott of Israeli institutions and American military research. This struggle will not end today, this month, or this year, but we cannot be disheartened. We have learned to struggle together. We have committed ourselves to continuing a history of resistance and justice. In the past week, we have achieved greater unity than ever before. In the past week, it has been made clear that we are all students for justice in Palestine. And when we struggle together, we win. Now, okay, let me go completely and clearly on the record saying this next little bit. I want you all to measure my words, to really feel them, and to feel their weight. I say this in all seriousness, and I invite you all to say them with me if you so feel inclined. Fuck you, Warden Eisgruber! 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 Dispose! Divest! We will not stop! We will not rest! Dispose! Divest! We will not stop! We will not rest! Dispose! Divest! We will not stop! We will not rest! Dispose! Divest! We will not stop! We will not rest! Dispose! Divest! We will not stop! We will not rest! Dispose! Divest! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest! We will not stop, we will not rest this flow! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this flow! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this flow! Divest! We will not stop, we will not rest this flow! Divest!
Please gather around the center as we finish our planned rally. So if we could close the circuit.
No, he's turning on this now. Oh, hello, mic check, mic check. I'll turn about it. Do you want to use this? Yeah. I can just, Can you try again?
Mic check.
The battery?
Hi everyone, I'm I help to lead the Alliance of Jewish Progressives here on campus. And I'm honored today to have the opportunity to introduce Rabbi Alyssa Wise, who founded in October a group called Rabbis for Ceasefire, which is over 300 rabbis strong. Rabbi Wise is part of a new, not new in some ways, but a really key constituency pushing the Jewish community to actually heed the call for liberation and justice for all. She has worked for some of the leading Jewish organizations in this space, including Jewish Voice for Peace and Jews for Racial and Economic Justice. And just last week, she was part of a delegation of American rabbis and Israeli peace activists who attempted to bring aid into Gaza and were arrested by Israeli police. Shame! Before I turn it over to her, I want to mention that this week, a lot of our Jewish community will be celebrating Yom HaAtzmaut, Israeli Independence Day. And on the heels of the last 7 months, and as 1.5 million Palestinians shelter in Rafah with nowhere to go, when we know almost 40,000 Palestinians have been killed, 70% of whom are non-combatants, and international law could not be more clear that these are violations. Celebrating this quote-unquote holiday is atrocious. Celebrating a nation state that is committing a genocide campaign much to the students for inviting me. So as was said, last week, myself and about 9 other rabbis, together with Israeli leftists, walked the road to the Erez crossing that divides Gaza from Israel with flour and rice for the people of Gaza. We got to 1 kilometer away from Gaza before we were arrested. During the interrogation, when I was arrested, they sat me down and said, "You are being arrested because you tried to bring food to the people of Gaza." They said again, "You tried to bring rice and flour to the people of Gaza." How is that a crime? Shame. I think an important reason why Rabbis for Ceasefire went to the Erez crossing to attempt to bring food was during the holiday of Passover. We were celebrating the holiday of Passover, and for those of you that have ever been to a Passover Seder, where we sit and tell the story of the Passover and the liberation of the Israelites from bondage, it begins with the line, Kol difkin yetei ve'yichol, let all who are hungry come and eat. That's how the story begins. If Jewish tradition is going to mean anything, we need to live our values in our deeds. It was the most obvious thing in the world to us that the only way we could celebrate Passover this year was trying to bring food into Gaza. But of course, we were not successful. And the truth is, even the little bit of food that we tried to bring would be a drop in the bucket, and without a ceasefire, food is insufficient. People of Gaza need medical care. They need the life. They need to be able to pursue their lives. And ceasefire is the floor, right? And then we get in humanitarian aid. It is a source of shame for us in the Jewish community to see some in the Jewish community refuse the idea. Like a couple weeks ago in New York City, there was a rally where somebody said we need to get more aid into Gaza, and the crowd booed. They booed. And here's what you need to understand from that. There is nothing Jewish about the state of Israel. Israel is a state, is a nation state that acts on its own political interests and uses Jewish tradition as a fig leaf in order to hide human rights abuses. There's nothing Jewish about it. In fact, in the United States, there are more Christian Zionists than Jewish ones. Christians United for Israel boasts 11 million members. There are only 7 million Jews in the whole United States. There is nothing Jewish about the state of Israel. What is Jewish are our values that remind us that every single person is made in the image of the divine. Every single person. And what I saw when I was in Israel horrified me. As the student said, I didn't catch your name, who spoke with the prison warden. The dehumanization of Palestinians in Israel is complete. And that is how they are able to continue with this horrific, horrific campaign in Gaza. And we know you dehumanize one people, it's easy to dehumanize another. And that's why I understand that you all here are mounting these encampments, because you see what the future holds if we allow this to continue. And you must refuse now. And I want to thank you. I brought tonight my 5th grader with me so that... And I want to thank you because I worry about what the world is that they're growing up into. And knowing that there are you all who are just a 1/2 generation older than them that are showing them how to do it, how to be brave,
how to refuse. Because if you don't refuse now, it's going to be something that we pass on to our children, and that is not the inheritance that we want to give. I've dedicated the past 2 decades of my life to standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people, and I do not intend to stop anytime soon. The Israeli police can arrest me for trying to deliver food, for God's sake. We will not stop. When I was walking on that road, when I got close enough to Gaza that I could see it, it was hard to believe. It seems like it's so far away. And there I was just before it. And I just felt I had you all with me. Everywhere we went, people were talking about the student encampments. I went to the West Bank. Everybody was asking me about the student encampments. And I felt as I was walking down that road that I had at my backs all of you. And I want you to know that I am at your back. Let me know how I can support you. Let me know how Rabbis for Ceasefire can support you. And know that we are with you. And to whatever it takes until it's done. Love you all very much.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Wise. Let's get one more again. Now that we're back at camp, I want one more round of hands if you need a bottle of water. We have plenty of it. Please raise your hand if you need a bottle of water. And people with water, please find them. I will also let you all know, in that direction is our medical tables. If you need any medical attention or supplies, you can go in that direction. And honestly, this is such a huge crowd, I can't promise dinner for everyone. But we do have snacks over there. We do have snacks over there. Next, we will hear from Kristen, who is a student with Students for Prison Education Abolition and Reform. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Hi, I'm really happy that you're all here today. You know what, though? I wish that I wasn't here. I am a freshman at this university. I haven't even been here for like 9 months. And this is like the 5th time that I've stood in front of this building and asked my university president to grow a fucking conscience. And honestly, I'm kind of sick of it, guys. I really wish that I could be like enjoying college right now. But when my tuition is paying for the slaughter of Palestinians, I can't do that. And so in the meantime, we're all here. We are all here today in spite of the doom. And I want everybody to think about why we're here. Why are we here? We're not out here because we think that it's fun for the New York Times to write opinion articles about us. We're not out here because we want to be arrested. We're not out here because we like sleeping outside. We're not here for any reason except for one, and it's very simple. In all these conversations that have been had in the past few weeks about this encampment, and in these little cowardly emails that I keep getting in my inbox, there's one reason that gets far too frequently forgot, and it's the only reason that I'm here, which is that this institution does not see Palestinians as human beings. And we do see them as human beings because they are human beings. And when you believe someone's a human being, you can't just stand by when they're being displaced for the 4th time. You can't see somebody say that every one of them is guilty and not be angry. You can't turn away and ignore the images of buildings and rubble and children making food out of animal feed and saying, oh, that's okay, it doesn't really demand any attention. You can't hear, a joke of a humanitarian aid plan and be like, oh, okay, that'll do it. Let me just go back to thinking they're not human beings anymore. We cannot do that. What is at risk here,
And what this university would love nothing more for us to do is to get tired of thinking that they're human beings, which is easier than you might think when every single source of media has told you that they're collateral damage, that they're animals, they're terrorists, they have nothing to do with you. And when we live in a system that requires you to dehumanize people because the system keeps them locked inside of prisons, tells them that they're not free over their own bodies, it's a system that requires popular consent to murder black and brown bodies in the street, it accepts shame. The system that expects us to see some people as worthy of life and freedom and others as not. Dehumanization is the fabric which underlines every system we live in, including the system of this university. Every single status quo we're fighting relies on you to believe that some bodies are more worthy than others. But we cannot fall into that trap. Our warden, thank you, Patrick, our warden, Eisgruber, has told us that our peaceful protests are unacceptable. I'm kind of wondering what would be acceptable to him. Do you want me to ask nicely? Do you want me to see 40,000 Palestinians murdered and not really get angry? Do you want me to hold a rally once a month and then act the other 29 days as if my tuition isn't paying for these slaughters? Do you want me to sit at SPIA and hold debates and conversations, acting as if the lives of Palestinians are chess pieces? No! Do you want me to keep sitting in Firestone, numbing my pain and holding back my tears and just telling myself that I gotta keep working? No! Do you want me to shrug my shoulders at the possibility of Palestine becoming a graveyard? No! Because I did that for 6 months, and I can't really go back to doing that. We can't sit anymore and pretend that what we do means nothing. We can't continue to let the administration of this school believe that Palestinians are not living. We can't continue to just agree with a system that was never meant for freedom or justice or peace. So why are we here? We're not here because we want to celebrate final papers being due today. We're not here to enjoy the weather. We're not even here to make old white men angry, even though it's kind of fun. We're here because there are over 1 million people in Rafah, and they have nowhere to go. And tanks are closing in on them, and they've been starving far longer than our heroic strikers here, and they have no hope. The world has not shown them that their lives matter. Neither has our university, who's decided their lives matter so little that if we want to stop paying for their slaughter, we have to go through a year-long bureaucratic process and make a very convincing formal argument as to why they should not be murdered. So we are here So we are here to do whatever it takes to show the world that Palestinian lives matter. Because right now, the world does not believe that Palestinian lives matter. There are people in Gaza, in Rafah, in Deir al-Balah, in Khan Yunis, in the West Bank. These are not just names, these are people's homes. And I would like all of them to wake up tomorrow. I would like it even more if they could all wake up in their bed. And if I'm gonna continue living my life here, I need to believe that my fellow students at Princeton would like that too. And so for that to happen, we need to stay out here. And we need to tell this university that Palestinian lives are worth the cold and the rain and the tiredness for us because they are lives just like yours and mine. So if somebody asks you what you've been up to this week, someone asks you, why are you here? Your answer is simple. We're here for one reason. We're here for Palestinian life. Thank you.
I'm going to make one more ask. Raise your hand if you need a bottle of water. I know where they are this time. Stay hydrated, folks. We have 3 more speeches for you all. Thank you all for staying here and being in community with everyone. Please welcome Bryce from the YDSA.
Are you all tired? No! Are you all tired? No! I'm not fucking tired! I am not tired! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Eisgruber thinks that Palestinian liberation isn't important. What do we think about that? How dare Eisgruber think it's okay to dismiss the personal experience of our Palestinian comrade here? What do we think of that? Are we supposed to just sit down and have a flowery debate or lunch discussion about the humanity of Palestinians? No! We are here for divestment. We are here for you to hear us. We are here for an end to the state terrorism committed by the state of Israel, backed by this university's investments. I gotta say, I talk smack about a lot of the curriculum here at Princeton, but there is one thing that I learned from a great class. It's called Social Movements and Revolutions. But autocrats have a hard time understanding rapidly changing and adapting mass movements. We're here right now showing that autocrat Eisgruber right there and the entire administration, we're showing them this is true today. We are still out here fighting for Palestinian liberation, and we will not give up. We are an unrelenting force, and we are stronger than they will ever know. The same administration that has messed with the workers here and the union organizers and the workers in Gaza, the medical workers in Gaza, who are dying every single day. The same administration that has let fossil fuel profiteers and war criminals teach here in the environmental studies or in SPE or whatever. The same administration that praises free speech in the abstract but denounces it in the concrete is the same university sponsoring genocide. But unlike them, unlike the administration of this university, we can imagine a free Palestine from the river to the sea, beyond apartheid, beyond occupation. And the university is finding out right now that they have reaped what they sowed. The more they try to silence us, the louder we will be. The more they try to silence us, the louder we will be. The more they try to silence us, the louder we will be. The more they try to silence us, the louder we will be. Instead of reproducing the next generation of the capitalist class and corrupt politicians, even at the most docile and allegedly conservative university, Ivy League university, undergrads and grad students and faculty and postdocs and staff and community members, we are all here and we are fired up. We are united as Muslims, Jews, Christians, everybody for the full liberation of Palestine and full divestment. We will not leave for your fancy meetings. We will not leave because you showed up one day to me with no care whatsoever for the health of our fellow comrades who are going on hunger strike. We are not going to leave. We are not going to leave because you don't care about the children of Gaza murdered every single day on this university's dime. We will not leave for reunions, and we will not back down from your intimidation. We are not leaving until this university divests. This divest. We will not stop, we will not rest.
Mic check. Many of us here are current or former students. Raise your hand if that's one of you. One of the things Princeton loves to brag about is its alumni network. #1 alumni network in the nation, they say. But you know what they really want out of us, right? Money. Are you going to be donating after you graduate from the school? I didn't think so. Wait, actually, what was it? No! No funding genocide! No funding genocide! No funding genocide! One of our alumni has sent over a statement, and our current student, Martine, will be reading that now. A hand to our alumni!
Can everyone hear me? How are we doing? Free Palestine! As we march here, Israel is currently marching into Rafah. As we argue with administrators and PSAFE about whether hunger strikers can use a tarp to shelter from rain and wind, over 1 million displaced Palestinians are sheltered in tents against sweltering heat and carpet bombing campaigns. As our encampment reaches its 13th day, let us not forget why we are doing this in the first place. To draw attention to the genocide the Israeli government is perpetrating against Palestinians in Gaza. I want to take this moment to celebrate you all. You are standing up for the ideal and reality that human rights are for everyone, not just wealthy, privileged people and nations. You are steadfastly proclaiming that your tuition money will not be used to carry out the genocide and ongoing displacement of the Palestinian people. You have popped the orange bubble. The Princeton community, including faculty, alumni, and local residents, has mobilized to bring food, medicine, and other necessities to the encampment in an unprecedented intergenerational show of support. Over plates of matluba, community members have expressed their joy and pride that we are demanding our institution divest from Israeli apartheid. Muslim, Jewish, Christian, non-faith students have come together to support the encampment and protect each other as they pray. For a university that pours hundreds of thousands of dollars into community building and community care, it is telling that many students' first encounters with the actualization of these principles is at an encampment that the university disavows. We are realizing the work that Princeton attempts to theorize. We are creating the community that Princeton purports to endorse. I applaud you for the work you all are doing, and I challenge you to do more. Continue to show up and continue to put pressure on all fronts. Even when this moment of national attention passes, continue to organize and fight for a free Palestine. Our organizing did not start when this encampment was launched, just as the genocide in Gaza did not start on October 7th. It is our responsibility to make sure that this movement remains alive, even when the cameras turn off.
As Linda Sarsour, former executive director of the Arab American Association of New York, noted in her address to the encampment, we are building a microcosm of the world we want to live in. A future in which the interfaith community, mutual care, human rights, and the dignifying value of collective study are not just ideals, but realities. For the Princeton students risking their safety and their institutional standing in the name of human dignity, in the nation's service and in the service of humanity is more than a marketing copy. It's a commitment to a more human future. That future starts now!
Whew. One more speaker, y'all. Thank you all one more time for being here. It means the world. Clearly, there are some alumni who I would be happy to make proud. So, I thank you to the alumni who are here. And thank you to the alumni who have put their money for this camp instead of sending it to Nassau Hall. And one big shout out to community members who have been feeding us for the past 2 weeks. Our final speech is going to be from a very special student here at the popular University of Gaza. She is here speaking from her Palestinian background. And so as the sun is setting here, please lend your ears to one last speaker, a Palestinian student here at camp.
From the popular University of Gaza, Assalamu alaikum. As a Princeton student, I get to study, travel the world, and construct a sustainable future for myself, while my people with whom I share the same blood with, are being stripped away from their human rights, their universities destroyed right beneath their feet. How institutions like Princeton's allow this dissonance is shameful and hypocritical, to say the least. It's a struggle. It's a struggle to accept and reconcile with the fact that I, as a Palestinian American, was admitted here for what I represent, and then watch how this institution seeks to represent me. While we stand here, we will push back on the institution's desire to silence us. We will push back on the institution's desire to tokenize us, Palestinians. A professor asked me, how are things going with the encampment? And when I mentioned that our demands haven't been met or even acknowledged, he said, what? Why demand? Just ask. Why do all that? Just ask. And you know, that's not even the sad part. It's how our educators who walk on this campus choose not to see the reality, choose not to see what it took for us to be here, to get to this point, and still question the way we demand justice. Princeton, you're telling me occupying land and displacing millions of people is okay. Building illegal settlements on my grandparents' home is okay. Slaughtering thousands and destroying entire families and neighborhoods with our money is okay. But God forbid, students putting up tents on grass and peacefully occupying an administration building to push back against genocide, a genocide that they are profiting from, God forbid. That's dangerous. That's making a couple privileged students feel unsafe. So safety. So safety on this campus is a privilege, right? Not a right. Institutions seek to render us, Muslims, Jewish, Arabs, black, colored students as dangerous and aggressive and justify as staff and students just don't feel safe. What is safety and who gets to have it? My friends were arrested and banned from campus. My other friends are starving. They haven't eaten in 5 days. What is Palestinian, I don't feel safe on this campus. Knowing that the administrations have been silent on the murder of 40,000 of my people, 40,000 Palestinians. Administrators don't acknowledge our safety. What about the safety of Palestinians? And we all know that when you try to suppress a righteous movement, it only gets stronger. We stand here and we will not budge. We will not move until we are heard, until we live and see the words this institution loves to market itself as. And most importantly, let's remember, we're not doing this for us. We're not doing this for the institution. We are doing this for the people of Rafah, for the people of Gaza, for the people of Palestine, for the sake of humanity. As Gazans say, when their homes are destroyed, when they're tortured, when they are orphaned, when they are widowed, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for us, and it is only He whom we rely on. May Allah have mercy on the pure souls of Gaza and Palestine, and may Allah give us the strength and courage to continue to push back against injustice. And until liberation, free Palestine.
Did you hear our friend? Mic check. I heard. We will not budge. Do you think? We should camp out another night? Let me hear you. If I want camp to go on another night, I will ask around for the spreadsheet to sign up for night shift. And I will be here tonight. And I will be here tomorrow. And I will be here the next night. And the next day. And the next night. And the next day. And the next night. I will see you all there. Thank you.
We'll do a couple of chants, and then there's food and water over there. So let's hear it.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! From the river to the sea, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the sea to the
pull this one out? Oh. Good. You walk 'em in.
You don't like the rock?
Testing, testing audio here. I think we have audio. Thank you all for tuning in. If you are just starting to watch, you can see there were about 500 students earlier. It's gotten a touch smaller, but we've been here at Princeton University. Princeton University is a university that currently has an ongoing hunger strike. There are several students that are engaging in a hunger strike in addition to an encampment. The university has been very, very strict about the encampment and what's going on at the encampment because they've essentially not even allowed the students to have tents, which is kind of insane. So we'll walk around later in the stream and you can see a little bit more about the tarps that are going on. But I'm excited to be joined. I'm also, again, for everybody who's just tuning in, this is Rachel with Breakthrough News. Normally a producer, I wear many hats indeed, and today we're here at Princeton University with the students for the student encampment, and I'm making it work. I'm a single-person team with some friends here at Princeton starting to help us out. But I'm joined now by a student. I just want to make sure, is everything all set? Are we good to go? How's it looking? Feeling solid? All right. Sounds good. I'm joined here by a student, so I'd love for you to share more about what's going on at this encampment that especially the corporate media is not showing the world. I think, I was mentioning earlier that the tarps, the kind of lack of tents here, it seems like the university is very much so cracked down on the camp. So I'd love to hear from you what it's been like here.
So on day one, we launched the encampment at 7 a.m. This was the Thursday before last. And we launched tents at 7 a.m. Cops immediately showed up, said that was not allowed. They went through multiple stages of warnings very quickly, and then arrested 2 of our friends immediately. So we made the call to take down our tents and instead build the rest of this popular university. And since then, they have not budged on that at all. We had a makeshift tent. I was calling it the not tent. to protect our hunger strikers from the rain. It was just a tarp hoisted up on some umbrellas. Really impressive engineering from some of the students here. And overnight, at about early this morning, the cops forced some facilities workers to take it down. Wow. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, I'm not surprised at all. This is how the universities across the country have been operating. So for those of you just tuning in, you know, as what's going on right now across the country, 150 different universities have been part of these encampments. Princeton here is one of them. We have all across the country been doing coverage, whether it's UCLA or it's all of the different encampments in New York City, coast to coast. That has been the situation. And here in New Jersey, Princeton University, like has been shared, is one of the universities that has had an encampment, and the administration has absolutely not been favorable. I mean, one of the things I'm curious to know a little bit more about as you are sharing is just what is the university's response been like to the students, and what exactly are the demands that you've put forward, and how has the dialogue been between you and the university administration?
Yeah, so overall, the administration has been refusing to come to the table. We've finally started to meet with administration a little bit, but they are very much playing there are divided opinions on campus, so we can't do anything because people disagree. That's kind of their rhetoric right now. It took a long time to even get them to come to the table, multiple days of hunger strikes specifically, and also the arrest of 2 students on the first day, and then 13 more people during a sit-in at Clio Hall. It was an attempt to try and get them to come to the table. And also, yeah, we did not start this 2 weeks ago. We have been trying to talk to Princeton since like last fall. We've gone to meetings. We've pretty much gone through all of the quote-unquote official channels that the university says to use for things like this. We've tried all of them. And now we are out here because nothing else has worked.
Certainly. I mean, I've also heard of student expulsions. I don't know if you've heard of those, if you could share more.
Yeah, so the first 2 students who were arrested were immediately threatened with expulsions. The other 13 are going through disciplinary hearings. At the moment, everyone is kind of awaiting trial, pretty much. How Princeton does things is you pretty much have a trial with admins and faculty there, etc. But currently, everyone who's been arrested is banned from campus indefinitely until this trial, which our college president said will not happen until after commencement, and gave no date on when that's even going to happen.
And certainly, I've heard that commencement, this is the area that we're currently in. Is this where commencement is taking place? Or is there where on campus in relationship to the encampment?
Yeah, so there is a ceremony that takes place here, I believe, like the hooding ceremony for grad students. I think commencement this year is taking place in a different location, but this is a pretty central location for both commencement time and then also reunions. You can see the reunions tents everywhere across this campus, white tents covering pretty much every other lawn, yeah, which also apparently aren't illegal. Illegal tents, but ours are, so.
Always how it goes.
Yeah.
So for my last question here, because, you know, we're going to be speaking with the hunger striking students later to get more of that perspective. Obviously, students are, despite the fact that you're not allowed to have tents, you're still going strong. Why are you out here? If you could share more about the kind of the demands and the motivation. This is for Gaza, but as an individual, why did you feel moved to be a part of this?
So the thing that I always come back to is that I chose to be at Princeton University. I'm a grad student. I made the choice to come here. When coming here, I was not fully aware of the extent to which Princeton was invested in all sorts of horrific things, military research, specifically funding corporations that profit off of genocide, etc. And so in being here, I made a choice. And in being here, my labor, my research, every time I wear a Princeton shirt or put like Princeton in my Instagram bio, that's advertising for Princeton. And I am furthering this machine as I just kind of passively partake in it. And I don't want my research, my labor, my money, my press to go towards something that is helping a genocide, and also a place that is refusing to even acknowledge that there is a genocide.
Certainly, I really understand where you're coming from. And I think one of the things that's really Okay, here we are. We are back. Sorry about that. You've probably been watching a screen with not a whole lot going on here. Let me adjust our settings here to get us a little bit brighter. So regardless, I mean, you know, we've been here at Princeton University. We're talking to students. There's a lot of things that are, I think, of value in our conversations together. But to continue where we were and to maybe restart this question, because I think we might have lost audio during it, you know, I've been seeing across the country students having profound and deep empathy. I mean, they're seeing what's going on in Palestine and they're rising to the occasion. I mean, especially here, I think the message that the hunger striking students have sent, that if they starve, I will starve, I think it's very deep and profound. So I'd love to know kind of what were the moments for you of things that you saw going on in Palestine that made you feel like I have to be here today?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of just essentially dead bodies of children that I have seen on social media throughout the past 7 months, I refuse to live in a world where that is something that we can just scroll past and then move on to the next thing. And just seeing that Palestinians are being forced to share the dead bodies, the horrible things that have occurred to their friends, family, children, in order to even get this attention, I can't see that and scroll by and not do anything about it.
Yeah, it's like disturbing. It's like this content that it's like people becoming content, but they're really just people, and it's just a horrible kind of Ouroboros of just horrific reality that we see on social media day to day. I mean, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about too, you know, of course, as we see Israel ramping up potentially to invade Rafah, that now more than ever, I think students are having to heed the call. So I am curious if there has been a change in tone after kind of the announcements have been coming out. You know, recently Israel, they dropped from planes flyers to let people in Rafah know what's going on. I don't know if that's influenced what's happening here. That was the name of this action today in particular, but I'd like to know more about particularly Rafah and why the students are moving for this.
Yeah, I mean, right now, what is it, like 1.4, 1.5 million people are in the area of Rafah. It's not even just in Rafah, in a specific part of Rafah. And it's multiple times the population density of New York City. And there are already, but even before the ground invasion, bombs being dropped daily, hourly, etc. It's like there's an urgency right now, and there has been an urgency for the past 7 months because people have been dying every single day, children have been dying every single day. But right now it really feels like a pivotal point of, if we can stop this, we need to do it now, and we need to speak up now.
Certainly. Well, thank you so much. If there are other students, please bring them my way. I'm very interested in talking to as many students as we can, because one of the things here on Breakthrough News that we cover is the stories that the corporate media aren't going to cover. We really want to share with all of you, our listeners, our viewers, people who tune in, to know more about what students actually think and believe. I think the corporate media has been portraying students as if they don't know why they're out here, as if they're out here to cause trouble, as if there's some sort of a lack of complete understanding of the issue. But that couldn't be further from the case. But thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Certainly. Well, if you're just tuning in, we're here at Princeton University. There are several students who are on a hunger strike. We're in the middle of an encampment. You can probably maybe see in the background here, there are some tarps. Students have been prohibited from having tents, so now they've been sleeping out with tarps, which is really incredible to think about it, because regardless of the rain, regardless of the weather, students have chosen to be out here and stand for Gaza no matter what. Some of the students have been telling us as well that they've been prohibited from sleeping on campus. So there's been security, Princeton security, that comes and actively wakes students up who are trying to stay overnight. But they're taking shifts and they're continuing the encampment regardless. But I know we're waiting here now to hear from some other students who I know have interest in speaking more with us. You know, for those of you who are just tuning in, we are at the encampment in Princeton University. Hopefully you can see it. I'm going to go and give you more of a shot here to show you what is going on. Let me take a look and see how things are looking. Oops. We'll see. Our tripod's not giving us a good time today. It has been rough, I'll tell you that. We just heard that a woman was just attacked outside the encampment. I think we should get some more information on this, but that is what students were just telling us. So let's see if we can show you here. I'm going to go investigate more about and learn a little bit more about what happened here. We're going to just show you the encampment while we go figure some of this out. So we're here, we're at Princeton University. You know, we're getting word that there was somebody who was attacked on another part of campus. So I'm having some of my friends that I'm making here go and help figure that out for me. But I am joined by somebody who's been a member of the community. I'm excited to have voices because I think one of the things universities have been saying especially is that it's not just the campus walls, it's the whole community. So we do have a community member here who's also an author. I'm curious to hear more about why you're here today. Come join. Yes, if you'd like to share maybe your name, why you're here today, and a little bit more information about yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Sirin Sawalha. I'm a Palestinian from a small village called Kufur Ra'i, 20 minutes from Jenin. And I'm here when I moved from New York City to Princeton area. Literally the second day I was joining students who were protesting for the war in Iraq in 1990 and to 2001 while the U.S. were involved in the Gulf War, which as we all know. And then I started becoming member of Princeton Committee in Palestine. So we've been in this. I remember in 2001, me and a few students, we built a tank here right in campus in front of First Camp. And I still have the picture. Oh, wow. From those. And I have picture with my little children. Two of them are next to me, which is now they're adults and they participate in a lot of protest and stand for the Palestinian people. And as a member of the community and as a Palestinian, of course, I support all the students. I support the hunger strike. I could not fast with them the way they're doing, but I've been not eating all day until evening. So I'm practicing part of the fasting just because I'm in medication. And it makes a difference. These children will write history. And students of university wrote history during Vietnam War, civil rights movement. We saw all the children marching with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Rosa Parks. So movement like that will make a difference. As a Palestinian, I have a lot of hope from Princeton University students, Columbia students, MIT, UC, Chicago, every students in this country, they're making a difference. So my family went through a lot. First Intifada and second Intifada. I left Palestine after that, and sadly, my brother was arrested. He was sentenced to 215 years. He was 17 years old. And a few years ago, I decided, a student from Princeton University, he was doing his PhD, Sami, he approached me. You always have a story, and you always good talking about the Palestinian experience under the occupation. Let's start recording your voice. So I spent a few years recording my experience under the occupation, my family experience under the occupation. We ended up Stanford University Press, printed the book, My Brother, My Land. That's the book. It just came this February. And I've been traveling all around. I spoke in Columbia, Stanford, UC Santa Barbara, Chicago University, Pittsburgh. I just came back from Kuwait and Qatar. So I've been telling the people the truth. We have a story. And the story based on a true event happening and impacting us and impacted my family. My mom was in Jordan in 1967 war. When she heard we lost the war, she walked back to Jenin so she doesn't become refugee like 1948. And my mom, which is the land, she brought us in Palestine, far away from my dad, who lived in exile in Abu Dhabi for the rest of his life, worked so hard between the farm, the land, raising the children. But in the same time, she's a mom who lived through a lot of struggle. She has a daughter who was in prison. She has 2 kids who was in prison. My house ended up being bombed. She lost everything she worked hard to make. And then she lived years taking that trip every morning, rising at 2 o'clock in the morning, traveling to Jenin, while she can take the bus of the Red Cross all the way to Ascalon prison, where my brother was resigned for 8 years, and always describe how every month she has to do it over and over and over again. And then how she was not allowed to see her son, who was arrested 17 years old in age, except through 20 minutes through the fence, barely finger touching. So my mother is like the land. She gave and gave and gave and gave, and she taught us to stand up for our rights. And me, I'm passing this torch to all my children, to all the Palestinian children. I'm grateful for the American students. I'm grateful for the Asian students, for the African students, the Latino community. Everybody is one, united for end the occupation, end the genocide in Gaza. And people think that Gaza just happened. The genocide against the Palestinians just happened after October 7. The people in Gaza has been in open prison for many, many years. The people in Gaza are refugees from 1948, from Haifa, from Jaffa, from Akka, from Nazareth, from Tel Aviv. And me, my family is a refugee from Nazareth. So I'm rooted there. My father was born in Nazareth. We became refugees. So the Palestinian has been there for generation and generation and generation. And we have the right to live peacefully side by side with Palestinian, Christian, Jewish, in harmony. So we're not calling for violence. And nobody wants violence. The children, the Christian children are dear to their mom. The Palestinian children and the Muslim children are dear to their mom. And the Jewish children are dear to their mothers. And we are in a time period while we care about human rights violation. And I called for ceasefire because the people of Gaza has been struggling. Imagine when I listened the other day in NPR that the 40,000 people killed in Gaza is equal to 15 million American based in the population. Imagine 15,000 children is killed. School is canceled. Imagine when I go back to Jenin, settlers are threatening us in checkpoints and the border. Imagine this year in November, my village could not pick the olive harvest because the settler was shooting and killing people. It's just heartbreaking every time I go back and see what's happening to the Palestinian. I was riding in a car and this man is crying. I said, what's going on? He said, they came into my town. They ripped all my 500 olive trees because they want to build a settlement. So Palestinian people, the olive tree is close to their hearts. It's their ancestor. It's what giving them life. When they see the settlers coming, cutting it and tearing it down, it's like you're killing them over and over and over. And people don't understand that. A couple of months ago, they want to arrest a young boy, and they came 3-4 times for his arrest. And I know his family, and I know his brothers, and he was not there. They arrested the 3 older brothers with their children and their wife. Can you believe it? They stripped the men naked, put them in a circle, and beat in them in front of their wife and children. What a humiliation. What do you think those children is going to grow up seeing their parents, their father, their role model treated like that and humiliated like that? Anger, hatred. They're building that. The way the soldiers and the settlers are treating the Palestinians, they're building a generation who's going to carry over and over hatred against Israel. And that we don't want it. I don't want it. Those people in Gaza, those orphanages of their parents were killed in 2006, 2014, every time Israel strike in Gaza. So we're building hatred and hatred and hatred, and we want to end that line, and we want to start calling for love, caring, and peace. And we all Abrahamic religion. We're all ancestors. That's what they need to know. We were all ancestors. And we all came from that land. And I'm 100% sure my ancestors were Christians from Nazareth. Because when I look in history, Mary is from Nazareth. Jesus' root is from Nazareth. This is where we are from. So I would love the community to wake up. I would love Princeton University to wake up and see the students who are in hunger strike standing for the Palestinian people. I would like the U.S. Politician to look at and deal with us as a human, the same thing they looked at the Ukrainian people as human, and really stop the bloodshedding of the Palestinians.
Certainly. I mean, thank you so much for sharing your story and so much for sharing your story of your family, your personal history, because I think that's what's really powerful here. Palestinian people, there's a long legacy of the genocide, a long legacy of what everyone in Palestine has been through. So I appreciate you bringing that here. And so my last question here for you is, if you have a message, not just to the university president, but to Joe Biden, as a Palestinian here in this country, what do you want? The corporate media is not showing, they're not showing what people are saying on the ground. They're not showing, you've shared so much about the kind of love that you want to build in the world. It's very apparent that cannot grow in a moment when Israel is attempting to invade Rafah and further this bloodshed. So could you share more about the perspective you have of what the message you would like to share to Joe Biden and to the media that won't show anything about what Palestinians really think and feel?
So this is what's like breaking my heart. While I'm driving in the morning, I will listen to NPR. Now I start closing it. I cannot stand it because they're biased with the Israeli story, the hostage crisis, on and on and on and on, and they minimize the damage and the death of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian children. People don't know. I became to the U.S. 34 years ago. I had first degree, second degree, I have a master's degree. I am very well-educated person. I will never call for violence. I wanted my children to be serving this country. I'm paying my taxes and my due to this country. I sadly voted for Joe Biden, which is never again, uncommitted from now on. And then I'm paying taxes for you to bomb my house, to erase my childhood memory. When I have my children here in the U.S., people will say, who do they look like, you or their father? I have no picture of my childhood memory. My house was gone. And then going back to Joe Biden, we forgot what happened in Vietnam. We forgot what happened in Sudan. We forgot what happened in Rwanda. We forgot what happened in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We keep forgetting genocide and genocide and genocide. And then we stand silent. How long? How long? We were with South Africa divesting. Nelson Mandela was listed as a terrorist. And now what's next? How long the U.S. going to stand in the wrong side of history? When we're going to be looking at people as a human, have the right to live in peace and harmony? This country, Revolutionary War, Samuel Adams, George Washington, who they are? They're heroes. My brother is a hero. He's a freedom fighter. The Palestinian fighters are heroes. They're freedom fighters. This country was built in those people. Malcolm X, he's a hero. So we're calling for freedom. Yes, freedom for all. It's not fair to say freedom for this people over this people. Those chosen people are those not human. We all human. And he should be standing in the right way of history, or he's going to lose this election. And I'm telling you, I am talking to thousands and thousands of Muslims and Arabs and Americans who will no way will give him his vote or our vote. It's not just him. All our politicians, our governor of New Jersey, our Congress, our senators, they don't recognize there is a genocide. There is family were whipped out of records. Family is gone. Generation is gone. Children who playing in school, they're bombing hospitals. They're committing genocide. They're bombing hospitals, UNRWA schools. They're starving generation. What do you want the Palestinian people to remember from the starvation? Who is starving? When the United Nations says the Gaza people are starving, when everybody condemning Israel except Joe Biden, unlimited support for the Israeli government and for the genocide happening to the Palestinian people. So sorry, we're not voting for him. As a Palestinian, my children, my grandchildren for generation will never gonna forget history. It's gonna write that, and we're gonna live to tell. And every Palestinian, more than 15 million Palestinians in this world, everyone has a story, and everyone is gonna tell, and we're gonna keep telling and telling them until history will be in our side one day. Same thing Mandela won. We will win. And history is the same. If you look at all the history, the Ottoman Empire, Roman Empire, the Spanish conquering this part of the world, the British, it's done. One day it's gonna done. And it's gonna be in book, and people is gonna remember the Palestinian people has the right to live. So free Palestine.
Certainly. Thank you so much. We've had some really great interviews today. We're looking to speak with some of the students that are on strike, the hunger strike. So I'm going to go check and see where we are with that currently and see how we are in terms of lighting. It's getting very dark. It's very, very dark here. So we're going to move to an area with a little bit more light for us.
The hunger strikers are on.
Listen, I keep buying them by the
Okay, if you're just tuning in, we're here at Princeton University. We are waiting on some of the hunger striking students that we want to speak with before we close our stream out for tonight. The students are getting ready for yet another night of this encampment, so they are getting prepared. Let me see if I can show you some of that going on. Oops. A tripod is having an interesting day today, I'll tell you that. So if you can see that there are plenty of people who are still here, who are making camp. Over here there is a place where students are getting food. So we're here. If you're just tuning in, this is the Princeton University encampment. So we are looking to speak with some more students now. We will be there shortly. Great, so we are going to get set up for another interview here. Let's see if I can get some friends here to help with some lighting, I'll tell you that. It's very dark. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I think this will be much better for light. So I'm going to be joined now by another Princeton student. I know we are waiting now on the hunger striking students who are currently praying and, of course, continuing their fast. But I'm joined now by another Princeton student. If you want to come a little closer over here to me so we can both get here in the shot. So I'd love to. We've been here at Princeton University. There's an ongoing hunger strike. There's an encampment happening where you guys are not even allowed to have tents. So we have tarps happening where people, I guess, are just sleeping underneath the tarps while they're getting harassed by security. Can you share more what it's been like here on the ground at this camp and how students here feel connected to the greater movement across the country?
Yeah, so many of us have been watching what's happening to other schools, watching what's happening at Columbia, watching what's happening at USC, at UCLA, and so many of us feel that our hearts and minds are with them as we come here each day, some of us staying overnight, to share in this struggle for a ceasefire in Gaza, as well as for our institutions to meet our demands, right? And so the students here, we every day, all of the chants that we have, all the prayers that are said across all three Abrahamic faiths, Jewish students, Christian students, and Muslim students, all of us feel very connected to this larger social movement that is being led by students, that is being, supported and spearheaded by students all across this country. And so it's not just about like what's happening at our encampment, but it's like what is happening across the country as part of this entire struggle for the people of Gaza.
Certainly. I mean, one of the things that you guys did today in your action was talking about Rafah. Obviously an invasion of Rafah seems imminent. It's very possible. We'll have to see how things unfold. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think that it's very clear from movements on the ground that there needs to be a response. Because if there isn't a response, then of course Israel is going to go forward regardless. I mean, they've stepped back multiple times on saying that they're not going to have boots on the ground, but they've still been bombing Rafah and killing people in Rafah. So I wanted to ask you about that connection. Students here today spoke about it and spoke about why they're on strike, why they're participating in the hunger strike, but also why they're at this encampment. And so much of it ties back to the day-to-day of what's going on in Palestine. So I'd love to know kind of your perspective on what you've been seeing and what your thoughts are on Israel invading Rafah.
Yeah, it's really disturbing that not only that it's happening, right, but that it's happening so blatantly, and it feels as if our voices are not being heard. And so seeing all of this on social media in real time from people who are directly affected by the bombings, people who are carrying their children, people who are providing medical care, who are starving, all of these voices and these images have a deep effect on all of us as we're here each day. And I think especially, at least when I woke up this morning, all I could think about is what was happening in Rafah and how all of us can really, by being here, by participating in this encampment in ways that are small or large, are really focused on how is everything that we're doing uplifting and putting attention on what's happening, because we want it to stop. We want the bombing of innocent people with our tax dollars, with our university and institutional endowments to stop. And so what is happening in Rafah is very near and dear to all of our hearts, I think, especially because I think this is the first time in a long time where we've been able to see all of this in real time happening on our phones, and we can't look away, right? And so everything that is happening over there shapes how we interact in this space each and every day, but especially right now with what's happening with the siege in Rafah.
Certainly. I mean, one of the questions I have for you is if you could share some more of the particularities of Princeton. I mean, the history of the student movements here. I mean, I'm really interested to know on what the students are drawing on. I mean, each campus we've been to is different. You know, we were at Fordham University and we were going there live, and there's a history of a lawsuit, but there's also great repression on the campus. And in fact, Fordham University never at any point, even during South African apartheid, was on the right side of history. So I'm curious, Princeton's legacy, Princeton's history, obviously as an Ivy League elite university, who they're producing, who they're creating, who their connections are. If you could share more about the specific asks that students have of Princeton and this legacy and history, both of student movements and of Princeton's perhaps nefarious behavior.
Yeah, so I go to the Princeton Theological Seminary across the street, and we have an alliance we have connections to General Dynamics. We've had people on our board that are directly that are CEOs and VPs in General Dynamics and other defense companies. I know that at the university, specifically, the university has not been known for its social movements. It's not been known as a place where social movements happen. I've heard it said again and again and again by students that Princeton is a very conservative place. It's known as the Southern Ivy. It's where historically is one of the later Ivy League schools to introduce women on their campus, to have black students on their campus. So their alliances, especially with the School of International Affairs, there isn't really a history of much social movement on campus, and this is really bucking against that history, right? That what we're doing in this encampment is challenging the history of Princeton University and Princeton Theological Seminary not being at the forefront of movements, right? When you think of social movements happening at other institutions, you don't think of Princeton. You don't really think of Princeton. And here, what we're doing is creating a new narrative. We are saying that Princeton is going to stand up against genocide, is going to take a stand, and we are going to rewrite the history that has happened, right? Like Princeton University, up a few steps away is the old president's house where they sold slaves. They sold slaves. There is a part of a campus where there is a little garden dedicated to an enslaved woman who was a part of this community. So Princeton University has a history of just not being as engaged and not being as involved. And we're trying to change that narrative and create a new one where students are actually involved and engaged around social issues, especially the genocide that is occurring in Palestine.
Certainly. And are there any final things you'd like to share? You know, a big part of what we've been talking about tonight, you know, as Breakthrough News is we come to these encampments, big and small, regardless, because we want to hear what students have to say. The corporate media is not sharing with you what students believe, not sharing with you the real narratives of what people on the ground actually believe, who are fighting and who are making all of this action possible. So we would love to open up the space. Whatever it is that you'd like to say or share as a student that you feel the corporate media is hiding.
I think that people have talked a lot about outside agitators and all of that. And what I've seen here at Princeton is really community building, right? We have community members who come here every day to provide food, to provide materials, to provide these lights. We have students caring for one another. We're in final season right now, and there are students, grad students and undergrads, working together trying to make sure finals get done. There's children that come and participate in this community playing. This is a wonderful space where we're really building the model. As Linda Sarsour said last week, we're building a model for how we want to live. And we're really emphasizing community. There is no inside and outside community. This is just one community full of people who are justice-minded, and that's at the forefront, right? All of the the kinds of narratives that are talked about university students, like students being selfish, students not caring. I think this is probably one of the most caring communities I have ever entered into in my life, and I think that what is happening here is countercultural, and what we're seeing with student movements all across the country are students saying no to genocide, students saying yes to the pursuit of justice and peace, and a real kind of collegiality that these institutions like to talk about. Collegiality, discourse, learning. We're building that kind of community here, right here and now.
Certainly. Thank you so much. So we're at Princeton University. I know we are looking to speak with some of the students who are on a hunger strike, so we're going to stay tuned for that. But there's definitely a lot of activity still happening here. Big or small, Breakthrough News is going to universities and campuses all across the country. And in fact, if you are near a university or campus, you're a student yourself, part of our program, the Disruptors program, which is a program that I am the person who runs. You should definitely check it out. You can email us at contact@breakthroughnews.org if you want to get involved, learn some more information. But the Disruptors program is a program that is about being able to cover in real time what's going on all across the country. So if you're at a university, you're at an action, whatever it might be, that is, I really highly encourage you to get involved in the program. You can also go to breakthroughnews.org/disruptors to be able to do that. But I am hoping to get another interview here. I'm trying to see if that is the situation, if we are ready for it. But thank you so much for your time. So regardless, we are in a situation, I guess, where we are waiting. I think it's about 9 o'clock, so we're probably about going to close out our stream here if we are not hearing from any of the students. I will say, as we're here at Princeton University, part of what I've been talking about and what's important here for the school and the students is that there is a hunger strike going on. You heard from them earlier in the stream. And so we heard the students share about, well, actually one of the students was sharing earlier that it's her birthday today. And she recognizes that it's her birthday and she would rather be there's nothing else she would rather be doing other than being here, participating in a hunger strike. So that way this university can see that while she goes hungry, so too do people in Palestine. It's very beautiful. If you haven't seen that part, you can rewind and watch that part. It's definitely a really engaging, really interesting kind of element of what's going on here. I don't think the students at Princeton on this strike are getting enough coverage. I think there's several different student strikes that are happening that have not gotten enough coverage. I know the students at Rhode Island University of Design, RISD, they also are on a strike of sorts. They've taken over a building. It's been ongoing. You can see all of this live coverage. This is on Twitter for Breakthrough News. There's live coverage happening that we have day to day. I know today, earlier, we were covering the University of Chicago, and the University of Chicago had students where they were completely raided this morning. In the morning, it was 4:30 a.m. Students were raided. They did not have the ability to even come back and get their stuff. I mean, the police said that everything that was in the dumpsters, the police told the students that everything in the dumpsters belongs to the university, belongs to the police department. Don't even bother coming here. And so, we've seen the struggle heighten all across the country. I know right now in New York City, you can see on our Twitter feed, we're also posting about it, an ongoing demonstration. There are thousands of people marching in New York City, which is great. We had heard word that it was going to be a lot smaller, and come to find out, we have many people in the streets. FIT remains to be one of the last universities with an encampment ongoing right now. So I think we're going to make our way over towards where our hunger striker is. So if you want to have some patience with me here. Yep, so we're going to move over because the hunger strikers are actually, there's a very particular area that they've been occupying that they're not able to move from. So we're going to make our way over to where they are so we can get the final pieces of what's going on here and be able to hear from them directly. So we're going to figure out the lighting situation once we get there, but we are on our way. It has been, I definitely appreciate you tuning in. We're going to hear from the hunger strikers about why they're here. I think that's one of the most compelling things that's happening here. I think students across the country are finding new ways to escalate the struggle, especially as commencement is beginning. I know graduation is happening in different parts of the country. As you can see, it's a completely black screen, probably. Very little you can see. That is how low light we are. It's completely dark, and they've turned off all of the lights here for the university. So we're going to move back to a lighted area. Let's move back over here. Okay. Oh yeah, the lighting here tonight is a little bit rough. We're going to see if we can get some friends of ours to help with holding up some cell phone lights. You got your, there we go. Okay, that's helping a little bit. We're in a bit of a rough spot here. Let's see how that is. See, this is why we need people to support Breakthrough News. We're a bit in a situation right now where we most certainly need the support. We could totally use it to be able to have some better lighting. Okay, great. Looks like we've got a little bit of a light stand going on here. So while we sort this out, I'm going to start this interview and hear more from the students who are on a hunger strike here. I think some of the most compelling parts of why we're here today is to hear from the students who are engaging in a hunger strike. So if you could share more about what brought you here today, or let me go on this side. If you could share more what brought you here today, and if you could share about, what the hunger strike is, when did it start, what brought students together to begin such an important statement.
Awesome. Well, yes, hello. I came here today because I think it's very clear that it's absolutely the right thing to do. For one, we started on Friday with just one day of organizing the hunger strike. It seemed clear that the administration wasn't listening to the demands of the encampment at all. They were willing to ignore us entirely and completely. They were willing to lie about the actions of previous students, lie about the intentions of the students that were arrested, and if they were willing to establish all those incredibly false claims, even in the face of faculty, making a statement about students' absolute commitment to peaceful sit-ins, peaceful interactions with all staff, then it was clear that they were never going to listen the way that we were going, the way that the movement was going at that time. So within about 24 hours, we determined that a hunger strike was necessary because one thing that I believe that Christopher Ice Gruber, our president, wouldn't allow is for the image of Princeton to be tarnished, for the funds that Princeton receives from alumni to be at risk. And so if he needs students to be starving and dying on his lawn for him to do something for the people of Gaza, for us to divest from a terrible, terrible genocide, then it feels fairly clear to me as someone who is privileged enough to be able to commit to something like this, to do it as soon as possible, to do it now, to do it as long as we have to stand and not waver despite everything that Princeton has done to destroy our spirits, to make us feel like we won't stand, like we won't last, like we are nothing but little students, little people, aggressive people. Nothing of that will matter. We will stand, and we will make sure that the administration hears us.
Certainly, I think a lot of people across the country who've been seeing students undertake things like hunger strikes recognize that it's very brave to do so, and the kind of connection that you're making, that you're drawing between the fact that you, as a student, are hungry, you're connecting that hunger towards the famine that's happening in Gaza. I think that's a very powerful statement to be made to the university. So if you could share more about kind of what it's been like physically, what it's been like in your minds, in your heart, in your soul in the last few days, and how many days are you currently fasting for?
Yeah, so this is day 5. We're about halfway through day 5. Initially, it didn't start off too bad, but starting around day 3, I would say that pretty much unanimously, most students that are hunger striking felt a great sense of fatigue. That was the first thing to kick in. It was a lot harder to wake up. By day 5 especially, a lot of us are feeling other symptoms, including insomnia. A lot of us, personally, I feel like my chest was very tight when I woke up today. I feel like we're subject to a lot more things that we were far more resilient to 5 days ago. A lot of us are, at risk of infections because we're immunocompromised. At this state, we feel far more kind of at risk of feeling weather, changes. We get cold way faster without additional help. And all of that, I think, pales in comparison to how subject we are to our emotions. A lot of us feel an increased sense of emotions when the administration told us that they did not care about any of our claims, that they did not care about the experiences that Palestinian students here at Princeton are going through, that they're hearing of from back home, that their families are going through. And we feel that so much stronger now, and we feel far more connected, I feel, to the movement and to the people that are suffering in Gaza than we ever could have back then. And I think that that is simultaneously some of the most special experiences that we are going through as students, that connects us together and connects us to the people of Gaza. And it's also some of the most disheartening and one of the biggest things that we face. But our will is stronger than all of that because of that specialness that we feel, because of that connectedness and that commitment. So we grow stronger even though we grow weaker because we come together in all of that.
It's very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that, one of the things that I've been really getting a strong sense of is from you and the other hunger strikers, just this deep and profound empathy, this deep understanding of what you're doing, this deep commitment to what you're doing. And I just want to say I commend you for that, certainly. And I think that the world is watching. People all across the country are watching. Students all across the country are seeing what you're doing, are inspired to do it themselves, and people all around the world are seeing this. And I've seen more videos than I've seen in the last 7 months from Palestine of people saying that there's hope, and the students are giving people hope. So I think that that's a powerful thing to give in what you're doing. But I wanted to speak to you also about your demands. You're doing this to force the university that you're at to make a change individually, because you have to start somewhere. This overarching war. It's how do we, as a movement, how do we change and fundamentally stop what's going on? I think the students have answered and said we are going to start with where we are. And so I'm curious to know your demands. What are your demands, or what's your message to Princeton University, and what's your message to the president here about what you want to see happen in the next week, if the next day, the next minute?
Absolutely. The encampment in general has far broader demands, but the hunger strike demands are incredibly simple, incredibly clear, and if you ask me, it's something that should be absolutely granted. Our first demand is for a meeting, a serious meeting, not a meeting that we've been granted where President Eisgruber smirked at some of the students, a meeting where he continuously, at every single point, spoke about processes, long processes that completely dismissed the urgency of the issue, the urgency of our divestment, the urgency of anything. That is the first serious meeting that needs to happen, where he considers disclosure and divestment. That is, for one, the most basic thing that we as students demanding here and suffering here today ask for. The second demand is amnesty from the Princeton administration for all students that were arrested by simply enacting the right to free speech, by simply doing their very best to stand for the people of Gaza as an institution. And the third is for Princeton to ensure that all criminal charges are dropped for those students, because it is absolutely ridiculous for any student in any country, especially in America, to be going through this. Princeton has touted time and time again their commitment to free speech, but they have, in reality, completely shown us that they do not care as long as their bottom line and their financial means are protected. Student free speech can absolutely fall. And so we believe that they should stand by that. And those are the three commitments, the three things that we are asking of the administration. Simple, easy, something that doesn't require anything of them, something that doesn't even, I don't know, it wouldn't even take a minute, it wouldn't even take a day. And so we demand that they give that to us as soon as possible. But the commitments of the broader encampment are far greater and incredibly meaningful, and they should also be discussed especially by those organizers that have made sure that this happens today.
Certainly. I have one final question for you, but I want to rearrange our light and just make sure that we can get your face right here. Let me see if you could take a few steps closer. Thank you. Great. Okay. So let me move this light so we can make sure we get your face in this shot well. So if you could share with me, just your final thoughts. We've been talking about tonight on this stream that the corporate media has not taken students, even thoughts, opinions, beliefs into account. They've been writing a story that they want to write, and they're completely ignoring what you're actually saying on the ground. So what are the things that you want people around the world, you want people around the country to know and to hear about the hunger strike that you're involved in?
So I think to begin with, media all around the world is being told lies. I can give so many examples from this very administration. For one, lying about kind of what these students are doing here. None of us are violent. All of us are peaceful. We're doing our best to make sure that we are heard. That is one. Secondly, they are lying about the way that they treat us directly. The Princeton's administration told major media outlets that they are providing doctors to care for us as hunger strikers every day. And we saw one doctor one time that didn't look at any individual one of us. They gave us a pamphlet detailing how we could seek help if necessary. Princeton personally and absolutely does not care for us, does not take care of us, and that is simply on the university's standpoint. And I think as small as we are, every single college campus coming together despite this adversity is making a difference. And like you mentioned, we've heard messages from children in Gaza saying thank you to us for what we are doing, and that means more than any other statement that anybody else can make. It keeps us going every day, and we will strike as long as we need to, because as long as we are giving them hope, as long as we can have a chance at making sure that we put less dollars, less pennies, less contributions into that war, into the murder, into the genocide, then that is something that is meaningful. And to anybody who says that we are not doing anything, that our movement is empty, they are wrong. And every single one of those kids sending us letters, making sure that they take videos and make sure that those videos get to us will mean so much more any day, any moment, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So we are going to be joined now by another hunger striker as well. I know I'm very interested in getting to kind of have you see, especially where people are coming from. I think that when it comes to the question of whether or not to engage in something like this, students who take this up are incredibly brave. So I'm going to get this shot sorted out. So thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next person here. Let me get my shots sorted out a little bit here. Hold on 1 second. Great. So I wanted to hear from you. We have many students here who are on strike, who are part of this hunger strike. So I wanted to hear from you, if you could step a little bit closer towards this light and towards me. If we could share a little bit more about why are you here today? Why are you involved in this hunger strike? You know, we've been hearing from students at Princeton University who are participating in a hunger strike that's been going on now for days. Could you share what's moving you to be a part of this hunger strike, and what's it been like for you personally?
Yeah, so we're participating in this hunger strike. This is day 5 now, and I'm an undergraduate student here, and we started this hunger strike really. We were forced to start this hunger strike in response to a series of actions that have been taken by the university administration here, by President Christopher Eisgruber and VP Rochelle Calhoun and other members of the Princeton administration, where when our encampment began 12 days ago, they completely refused to hear our demands or speak with us, speak with our bargaining team, or listen to us on any level. When we staged a nonviolent sit-in of Clio Hall, they continued to ignore us, and actually they called the police force on us and arrested many of the student protesters. And still, at that point, they refused to listen to us. So we resorted to this hunger strike because at every step of the way, they refused to listen to us. And we are here, we're protesting on behalf of the Palestinians who are facing a cruel genocide at the hands of the Israeli apartheid regime. And we stand in solidarity with them. We began this hunger strike in solidarity with them. Every action we've taken is for them. And we really want to place them at the center of this, because every action we're taking is to ensure that our tuition and our money is not being sent and is not being used to fund a war that is harming them. It's not being used to fund the genocide that's occurring in Gaza.
Definitely. And if you could share more, you know, one of the things that I was speaking with another hunger striker just now about was more about just kind of what it's personally been like. What's the experience been like to be in a situation where you are not eating, you are fasting, your university is ignoring you, and yet you feel support from people around the globe. You feel what you're doing has the importance and the gravitas that it deserves. So if you could just share more about what that emotional experience has been like for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's been incredibly touching the way community has come together to support us, the way students on campus have come together to take care of us, the way people from the community have come, they set up shelters for us, they set up ways for us to sleep outside, they try to protect us from the rain. There's doctors who have volunteered just to take care of us and check in on us and be on call in case anything happens. There's people taking our vitals twice a day. And it's amazing to feel so cared for by the community, but it's also incredibly frustrating because the people who care for us the least, the people who make us feel the most threatened, and the people who make us feel the most unsafe are the university administrators who claim that they're here to do exactly those things. And it's incredibly frustrating that it seems like, you know, on some levels, what we're doing here is reaching people around the world, yet at the same time it's falling on deaf ears for the people who are right there in the office that we're protesting right behind. They can hear us, they can hear our chants live, and they still seem to completely ignore us and everything that we're doing. There's literally students starving on their lawn, right behind them, and there's nothing that they have to say about it. There's no response that they can give that can acknowledge why are they starving. Nothing that they've said has mentioned what are the people here for. They've made no mention of the genocide that's occurring. They've made no mention of why people would feel compelled to do something like a hunger strike. And, you know, like I said, it's been touching to feel that community support, and it's amazing to feel the solidarity with the people who have come together in support of the people in Palestine. But it's also so frustrating that that support is nowhere to be found from the university.
Certainly. And I guess my question for you is if you could share a little bit more about how the students came up with this idea to go on a hunger strike, how you decided, what day you started, and a little bit of the history of how we got here.
Yeah. So like I said, the hunger strike, we resorted to the hunger strike because the university failed to listen to us really in any other way. And the hunger strike began on May 2nd, which was last Friday, so this is day 5. And we began the hunger strike, or we came up with the idea for the hunger strike. Really, it was inspired by a long-standing tradition of Palestinian political prisoners who would go on saltwater hunger strikes to protest the conditions that they were facing in Israeli prisons. And it's also situated in a long-standing tradition of nonviolent protests, both globally and domestically, where we have the Indian independence movement, we have the Ireland independence movement, where people were doing hunger strikes. During the movement to divest from South African apartheid, there were hunger strikes all across the country, on campus and off campus. So we really situated ourselves within that tradition, and we really found the inspiration from Palestinians.
Certainly. And my last 2 questions for you. My question is, if you could, what's your message to people around the country and people in Palestine right now? Apologies.
Yeah. You know, I think more than anything, we want the Palestinians to know that they are not alone. For the past few months, this administration has refused to acknowledge that there's a genocide occurring. And that is incredibly dehumanizing to all of the Palestinians, because what this administration, the message that they're sending when they refuse to acknowledge that there's a genocide occurring, is that all these people who are dying, their lives are not valuable enough to be considered, they're not valuable enough to be considered a genocide. When their lives are lost, it's considered collateral damage. When their lives are lost, it's considered, human shields. But the complete refusal to acknowledge that the mass death of innocent civilians is unacceptable is dehumanizing. And I think more than anything, what I want is for the people in Palestine to feel that we recognize your humanity, that we here on this campus, these people in this encampment, we're here in solidarity with you. We want this administration to stop funding this genocide. We see what you're going through, and we want you to feel seen. And really, that's all I can hope for through these actions. Like, what I'm doing here as a hunger strike is just a small microcosm of what the Palestinians have had to go through since October 9th. They've been facing famine-like conditions this whole time. They've been starving, not by choice, for much longer than I have been doing this hunger strike. And I mean, all I can say is I hope that what we're doing, it gives them at least some amount of hope that there are people who recognize what's happening and that we stand in solidarity with you, and we won't stand by while it happens.
Certainly. And my final question here is, we've been talking with students at this encampment, and there has really been a very clear, I think it's just been very clear, the corporate media is not interested in talking to and hearing from students directly about what they're doing, why they're here. So any final words that you haven't been able to share, we want to be able to make space for. So share with us anything else that's on your mind that you want the world to know.
Yeah, I think, honestly, we're not talking enough about the dehumanization. I touched on it from the administration in that they refuse to acknowledge that a genocide is occurring at every step of the way. They refuse to mention what's happening in Palestine. They won't acknowledge the fact that there's people dying. They won't acknowledge the fact that there are students walking around campus whose family members are constantly in danger every single day. And that's not just happening at the administrative level, that's happening throughout the country. That's happening through news outlets that refuse to cover these kinds of things. That's happening through all these university administrations. It's happening through all of these businesses that refuse to make mention of it, that silence people who do choose to mention the genocide that's occurring in Palestine. And this dehumanization is exactly what allows for it's exactly what allows for this type of genocide to occur. The fact that people are not willing to speak about it, that people are not willing to acknowledge it, the fact that people can talk about war crimes that are occurring in Ukraine, and months later they can't talk about the same war crimes being committed against the Palestinians, the same people releasing statements. Christopher Eisgruber released a statement about Ukraine, decrying human rights that were being violated in the invasion of Ukraine, and yet he can't say anything about what's happening in Palestine. He's had nothing to say about human rights. So what does that mean? Does that mean they're not humans who have rights worth violating? Like, what is the message that he's trying to send? And this is a message that we're being seen repeated all across the country through all forms of media. And I think it's just despicable what's being done, and I think it's really important that people continue to speak about it, and it's really important that we continue to acknowledge what's happening, because to acknowledge what's happening is to acknowledge the humanity of the Palestinians.
Certainly. Well, thank you so much. I know you guys are certainly having a very hard time right now in terms of your body, but your spirits and your souls are steeled. So that's what's most important here. I appreciate your time. So we've been here at Princeton University. I think we're going to come to a close for our stream. It's very late, it's very dark, but the students, as you can hear in the background here, are still chanting, they're still going strong. We anticipate that students will be here for several more days. I know students will continue with their hunger strike well into the next week, if that's what it takes. So you've been watching Breakthrough News. If you haven't followed us, please do so at BT Newsroom. You can also follow us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Breakthrough News. We want to share the stories that the corporate media ignores. We want to hear directly from students about why they're out. We want to hear directly from people around the country and around the globe that are in resistance, what they actually have to say, not filtered through what the corporate media wants them to say. So please follow us if you can, and thank you so much for tuning in.